It's all right. So now how? So because you said you came up, you guys had the group, and how did you guys even form the group? You guys already knew each other, or like someone heard you singing and said, "Hey, you should sing with this dude." Like how to happen?
Nice, so organic, man. Like my roommate freshman year, like I was telling you, was Darnell from Patterson, and his dad, Skip, he was a like a counselor type at Eastside High School, but he was also the manager of those dudes that were singing in the bathroom. Those dudes was a group called Riffs. That was and and so Darnell's dad used to write some of the songs, and Darnell would have these songs early on before the radio, and Darnell would tell us the songs. There was a girl dormitory right next to our dorm. We would go sing the songs to the girls on Friday nights because they had balconies, and they would be hanging out over their balconies, and we would come through the alleyway. And our other roommate was a saxophone player, so me and D and the
Oh,
saxophone be up there singing all these songs. Girls be out their windows. It was a vibe, you know what I'm saying? So we was getting it like that, and then through that, Darnell was also like the young dude in the marching band who was making up all the dance steps as a freshman. He was just like Nick Cannon in drumline, but for Howard's band, exactly like that. He was a real talented, was on scholarship, was better than most of the seniors and juniors that was there. Was so dope at dancing and stuff. They let him make up the dance moves. It was like that, but he was a rebel because he didn't like the structure. You know what I mean? Because they didn't want to get gritty and ghetto enough. They want to keep it all conservative at Howard. So it was
yeah.
always the friction. So D was always trying to push that envelope. So yeah, he was real talented, but he used to always be like, "Yeah, man, me and you, we gonna." And so he formed a group at that time with Carl in the group. They were alphas. They all three of the other guys were Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity members. I wasn't. I was gonna pledge Q if I would have pledged anything, but they got kicked off the campus so early I didn't get a chance to even. But yeah, but so Darnell was working with Carl, and they were like a songwriter producer team at first, and then Mark came along, and then a little bit later, like that next year, when I was married or whatever, my dad claimed me on my taxes. I lost my financial aid from Howard because of that, but I still had my housing. So I was working as a temp, but all those long stretches when the temp agency wouldn't give you no work, I would be hanging out with Darnell in the Fine Arts building where him and his other three partners and plus two more were rehearsing for this big talent show at Howard. And they were just, a whole bunch of alpha dudes. Well, right before the talent show, a couple of dudes quit. I had been hanging out with D in that room for so like 3 or 4 months straight. I knew all the songs. He was like, "Yo, G, we need 4 part harmony, man. Can you?" I was like, "Yo, I got you. I got you." And so I joined the group right then just for the talent show. We got a standing ovation, and that gave us the kind of like incentive to kind of like try to see if we could do a full out. And SHAI was born that night when we did the talent show, and we were the only group to not get booed. And everybody who got booed didn't get booed because they was whack. Everybody was dope, actually. It was just that the New York crowd just wanted to make that be the Apollo so bad. They just on Friday night, the football team and the New York crew was in there full force because there was some event on Howard campus to go to. All the shorties in there, boom, boom, and all them singers on stage that was dope, doper than usual, was getting booed. Just was at the expense of the football players and the New York crew just having fun. But by the time they got to us, we got lucky because we went on last. I guess they just got tired of booing people by the time we came on. And they listened to
Yeah.
our joint all the way through and gave us an encore. And we were doing all these Boys to Men songs for our regular, for the regular go of it. We came for the encore and did If I
Mhm.
Ever. And then just by the time the second chorus came around, the whole crowd was singing the song like they already knew it. So we was like, "Yo, we might be able to do something with this, man. You heard them out there? Not only did they not boo us, but they singing the joint." So that kind of like allowed us to feel like we might be able to get a record deal. Plus, we had just heard Jodeci had got a record deal just by showing up in New York and singing, and everybody loved him so much they got signed. We was like, "Yo, we could do that." Not knowing in our naivety that both of those was one of our situation, how we got a deal, and Jodeci is like 1 in a billion. We got lucky. We were naive. We didn't even realize it was luck at the time, but we was mad lucky.
That was that seemed like it was destined, like it was written, like
That's
because
why our name
right.
is SHAI. SHAI means destiny in human form. It's Egyptian. And that's why we named ourselves that, because we felt like that, what you just described. We really felt like that. So we called ourselves basically Destiny, SHAI.
Ah, nah, that's a dope name, man. Wait, did you have the name before y'all performed that, or?
Well, yeah, once again, those guys that were in the Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, they're really heavy into Egyptology. And like I said, SHAI comes from the Egyptian book of Coming Forth by Day, which a lot of people call it the Egyptian Book of the Dead. And within that book, SHAI is a, for lack of a better word, you know, a netter, ancestor, who was masculine. The masculine represents destiny. The female side of that concept is fate, which is Renanette is her name. So SHAI and Renanette kind of weave together to make future, fate and destiny, you know, like that. And we took the masculine side of it, SHAI being the destiny side of it. And yeah, you know, and that's how we roll. It was a simple name. When you looking to brand yourself, you know, the simpler the name is, the better. You know, you don't got Nike with like 3 names, Nike butter. It's just Nike, you know, Silk, SHAI, you know, it's like, and it stays in your brain easier like that. And so we wanted something concise, clean. And then ladies and people who didn't want to go deep and know that it was from Egypt, shy is another word for bashful. So they kind of like, it kind of gave us a, people thought, oh, shy, oh, you know, like they rooted
Oh
for us.
yeah,
Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
it gave us that too, even though that wasn't really what we were supposed to be. But it had that in it, even though that was, you know, that's not why we named ourselves. But it gave us that too, though. So we took that, you know what I mean? So yeah, you know, it was friendly. It wasn't threatening, is what I'm saying. People hear the word shy, they don't think like, oh, I don't know about them. It's like, oh, shy. Oh, yeah, yeah, you know. So